Are you doing all the right things and still feeling like your heart isn't getting the respect it deserves? Good intentions by day, restless nights, numbers that creep up little by little on every checkup. You cut the obvious stuff. You walk more than you used to, you try to eat healthy, and yet something feels off. Blood pressure not quite where you want it, cholesterol a touch stubborn, ankles a little puffy at the end of the day, energy that fades by late afternoon. If that sounds familiar, I want to speak to you directly and calmly. Because after 50, your heart is incredibly responsive to small choices, but some of the things marketed as smart or harmless can quietly push it in the wrong direction. What I'm about to share isn't about fear, it's about clarity, seeing the hidden levers so you can move them with confidence. I'm Dr. James Adler. For over 2 decades, I've helped adults protect what matters most: independence, vitality, and the steady, reassuring rhythm of a healthy heart. The truth is simple. Your heart is not demanding perfection. It's asking for fewer quiet insults and more steady support. A handful of common foods, some you might even think are good for you, can nudge blood pressure up, inflame the lining of your arteries, spike blood sugar that later converts to harmful fats, or disturb the balance of fluid your heart needs to pump easily. Today, I want to help you identify 5 of the most common culprits that silently harm heart health after 50, and, more importantly, how to replace them without feeling deprived. As you listen, I want you to picture not a strict diet, but a smarter pantry, simpler meals, and a calmer body. That's the goal. A calmer body and a stronger heart. Before we start, a brief reminder to keep you safe and empowered. Everything here is educational. I'm not diagnosing you or replacing your medical care. If you've been prescribed a specific cardiac diet or have kidney or liver conditions that change what you can safely eat, partner with your clinician. And if you ever have chest pain, pressure, tightness, sudden shortness of breath, fainting, a severe new headache, weakness or numbness on one side of the body, or a racing irregular heartbeat that makes you lightheaded, seek emergency care. Those are red flags we never ignore. With that said, let's gently open the door to your kitchen and look at what might be quietly working against your heart. The first quiet culprit is one we meet at lunchtime, in a hurry, or on road trips when easy feels like the only option: processed meats. I'm talking about deli turkey and ham, bologna, hot dogs, bacon, sausage, and the tidy vacuum-sealed slices that promise convenience. What makes them stealthy isn't just the saturated fat in some of them, it's the combination of high sodium and preservatives. Sodium is essential for life, but after 50, your blood vessels become more sensitive to it. Extra sodium pulls water into the bloodstream, increases blood volume, and forces your heart to push harder against higher pressure. Over time, that pressure stiffens arteries and strains the heart muscle. Preservatives and additives in processed meats can stoke low-grade inflammation, the kind you don't feel as pain, but your blood vessels feel as irritation. The tricky part is the label. Lean, low-fat, even oven-roasted, can sound healthy while hiding a salt load that doubles or triples what your heart needs in a single meal. If your go-to lunch is a generous stack of deli slices on soft bread with pickles and mustard, you might be getting half a day's sodium before 1 p.m., and you won't taste how high it is because your tongue adjusts quickly to salt. What do you do instead? Shift from processed and preserved to cooked and simple. Roast a small batch of chicken breasts or thighs at home and slice them for the week. Use tuna or salmon packed in water and rinse it before mixing with mashed avocado or a light yogurt and mustard dressing. Add beans, chickpeas, cannellini, black beans, to salads and whole grain wraps for protein that brings fiber and potassium along for the ride. Keep a bowl of boiled eggs in the fridge. 1 or 2, sliced with tomatoes, olive oil, and pepper, can be the backbone of a heart-strong lunch. The move isn't away from flavor, it's toward control. You're swapping the factory's salt for your hand with the salt shaker, and most days you won't even need it when you use herbs, lemon, and a little olive oil. The second culprit hides in healthy-looking sweetness, added sugars in drinks and snacks that wear a wellness costume. I'm not talking about the occasional slice of birthday cake. I'm talking about the daily drip, sweetened yogurts with dessert-level sugar, granola clusters that behave like candy, fruit drinks with more sugar than fruit, and the afternoon pick-me-up bar that promises fiber and protein but delivers a fast glucose spike. Why does this matter for your heart? Because after 50, many of us become more insulin resistant. When a food or drink floods your blood with sugar, your body releases insulin to tuck that sugar away. Repeated spikes lead to higher triglycerides, lower HDL, the good cholesterol, and a pattern of fat storage around the abdomen that is strongly tied to heart risk. High sugar patterns also inflame the lining of your arteries and make blood pressure harder to control. The sneakiness lies in the label and the portion. A healthy granola may list 8 or 9 teaspoons of sugar per serving, and the bag's serving size may be far smaller than what you pour. A light yogurt can carry the equivalent of a soda's sugar if you don't choose carefully. A specialty coffee drink can deliver dessert calories before you've had lunch. What's the better move? Keep the pleasure, lose the spikes, choose plain yogurt, and add your own fruit and a small sprinkle of nuts or cinnamon. Swap juice drinks for actual fruit and water or unsweetened tea. Build your snacks around protein and fiber, an apple and a handful of almonds, carrots with hummus, cottage cheese with cucumber and black pepper, whole grain toast with peanut or almond butter. If you enjoy something sweet, enjoy it with a meal. Protein, fat, and fiber slow the sugar's entry into your bloodstream and soften the spike. This isn't about never. It's about not letting a little sugar become an all-day stream your heart has to paddle against. The third culprit feels harmless because we grew up with it. Refined grains and ultra-processed snacks that turn to sugar quickly in your body. White breads and buns, crackers that dissolve in your mouth, fries and chips that crunch and then vanish, pastries that feel like air. All of these deliver starch that your body treats like sugar, quickly. You don't taste sweet, but your bloodstream experiences it. The chemistry is similar to what we just talked about. Insulin spikes, triglycerides drifting up, HDL drifting down, more fat deposited around the waist, and an inflammatory whisper in your arteries that grows louder with repetition. After 50, when muscle mass tends to decline and metabolism tends to slow, these quick-digesting starches act like accelerants. They leave you hungry sooner, which can nudge you toward bigger portions or late-night grazing, and they displace the fiber-rich foods your heart loves. The gentle solution is not to remove grains, it's to change their form and portion. Choose intact or minimally processed grains. Oats you cook, not instant sugar packets. Brown or wild rice, quinoa, barley, farro, true whole grain breads with visible seeds, and a short ingredient list. Build your plate around plants and protein. Let the grain be the supporting actor, not the star. If you love something crunchy, trade chips for roasted chickpeas or crunchy snap peas. If weekend breakfast feels empty without toast, choose a dense whole grain slice and add avocado and tomato instead of jam. Your heart doesn't ask you to abandon comfort. It asks you to reimagine it in a way that feeds your arteries instead of irritating them. The fourth culprit doesn't look like a food at all. It's salt, hiding in healthy places, canned soups and vegetables, vegetable juices, jarred sauces, salad dressings, low-fat products that replace fat with salt and sugar to keep flavor. Sodium is the quiet architect of blood pressure, and it does its work meal by meal, label by label. If you've ever said, "But I don't salt my food," I want you to feel seen, and then I want to show you where the salt is slipping in anyway. A standard bowl of canned soup can easily carry half a gram of sodium or more, and most cans are 2 servings. A lean frozen entree that promises fit can deliver the same. A veggie juice marketed as heart-healthy may contain the salt of a small bag of pretzels. Cottage cheese, pickles, olives, rotisserie chickens injected with brine to keep them moist, light dressings. All of them can be surprisingly salty. After 50, when arteries and kidneys work best with calmer sodium intake, those surprises add up. The fix is straightforward and doesn't require perfection. Buy no added salt or low-sodium versions when you can. Rinse canned beans and vegetables under water. You'll wash a meaningful amount of sodium down the drain. Mix half jarred sauce with half no-salt tomato puree and dress it up with garlic, basil, and a splash of olive oil. Thin a salty soup with unsalted broth and add a handful of frozen vegetables and leftover chicken to stretch the flavor. Make a simple vinaigrette with olive oil, lemon, and mustard in 30 seconds. You'll get more flavor with less salt than most bottles on a shelf. Use herbs, citrus, vinegar, garlic, onion, cracked pepper, smoked paprika. Flavor that sings without pushing your blood pressure up an inch. You're not running from salt as if it were poison. You're learning where it hides so you can loosen its grip. The fifth culprit is not a villain for everyone, but it quietly hurts more hearts than people realize. Alcohol that slowly crept from occasional to most nights, or from one small glass to two generous pours. I'm not here to shame anyone. I'm here to be honest about what I see. After 50, alcohol hits harder. It raises blood pressure. It disrupts sleep architecture even if you fall asleep faster at first. And it can trigger irregular heart rhythms in susceptible people. It adds easy calories that turn into visceral fat, the kind that wraps the organs and increases heart risk. It also pairs very well with salty snacks and late-night eating, which compounds the trouble. Some people hear this and say, "So I should never drink." What I want you to hear is this. If alcohol is part of your life, set clear boundaries that protect your heart. Choose alcohol-free nights each week. Pour smaller servings on purpose and drink slowly with food. Swap a second drink for sparkling water with lemon or a hot tea that feels like a ritual. If you notice palpitations, poor sleep, foggy mornings, or rising blood pressure, consider a month off and see what your numbers and your body say. Your heart will tell you quickly whether alcohol is a quiet irritant for you or not. Listening to that feedback is powerful. Now let's take a breath together because I've mentioned a lot of don'ts, and I'm not going to leave you there. My job is to help you build an easy pattern of do's that loosen the chokehold of those 5 culprits without making you feel like you live in a food prison. Picture this as a week of gentle swaps, not a life sentence. On Sunday, roast a tray of chicken thighs or breasts with olive oil, pepper, paprika, and lemon. Slice and store them for fast lunches so deli meat isn't the default. Cook a pot of oats you can portion for 2 or 3 days. Top with walnuts, blueberries, cinnamon, and a spoon of plain yogurt. Buy 2 low-sodium canned bean varieties and rinse them. Toss them with cherry tomatoes, cucumber, onion, olive oil, vinegar, and herbs for a 5-minute salad that beats a sodium bomb. Keep whole fruit visible on the counter, the bowl that makes you reach for an apple instead of a bar. Stock frozen vegetables you like: broccoli flores, green beans, spinach. So dinner can be half plants in 10 minutes. Choose a whole grain bread you truly enjoy and freeze it. Toast straight from the freezer and top with avocado, olive oil, and pepper. Fill a large pitcher of water, drop in orange slices and mint, and keep it cold in the fridge so sweet drinks feel less tempting. And if you drink, decide how many nights this week will be alcohol-free and write it on a sticky note where you'll see it. You're building a home where your heart can relax, one shelf and one habit at a time. Let me connect this to how your heart actually feels. When you loosen the grip of sodium, your blood pressure comes down, sometimes within days, and your heart doesn't have to push as hard. When you reduce added sugars and refined starches, your triglycerides drop, HDL can climb, and your arteries experience less inflammation. When you move from processed meats to whole proteins and beans, you bring in potassium and antioxidants that help your blood vessels dilate and heal. When you trade chips and fries for nuts, seeds, and roasted vegetables, your plate carries more fiber and healthy fats that feed your gut and calm your immune system. When you give alcohol fewer nights to disrupt your sleep, you wake with steadier energy and better appetite signals, which makes every other choice easier. And when every other choice is easier, momentum builds. That's what I want for you. Momentum that feels like yourself again. I know there's a voice inside many of us that says, "I've eaten this way for decades. What difference will it make now?" Here is my answer, formed by years of watching real lives change. Your body listens immediately. Your blood vessels listen within days. Your blood pressure listens within weeks. Your energy listens this month. And your long-term risk profile, the quiet math of your future, listens every single time you choose a heart-calming meal or skip a heart-irritating one. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be consistent enough that your heart knows you're on its side. Let's make it even more practical. Imagine your next 7 lunches without deli meat. Day 1, sliced roast chicken with a big handful of arugula, cherry tomatoes, olive oil, lemon, and a few olives for richness. Day 2, tuna mashed with avocado, mustard, chopped celery, and black pepper, tucked into a whole grain wrap with lettuce and cucumber. Day 3, a bowl of white beans with parsley, red onion, and diced roasted peppers. Drizzle with olive oil and a splash of red wine vinegar. Day 4. Egg and tomato plate with a slice of whole grain toast and a side of berries. Day 5. Leftover salmon flaked into a salad with mixed greens and a spoon of plain yogurt thinned with lemon as dressing. Day 6. Chickpeas and chopped vegetables over quinoa. Day 7. Cottage cheese or ricotta with sliced peaches or tomatoes and cracked pepper. That's a week with more potassium, more fiber, more healthy fats, and far less sodium than the sandwich line. That's a week your heart breathes easier. For snacks, train your eye to read sugar like a detective. Flip the package. If the serving size is tiny and the sugar is high, it's not your everyday snack. It's dessert, and that's fine once in a while with a meal. Build default snacks that love your heart back. A small handful of unsalted nuts and a fruit, carrot sticks with hummus, Greek yogurt plain with cinnamon and a few walnuts, a small square of dark chocolate after lunch if you like something sweet, but not alongside a sugary drink. And don't forget the snack you carry with you always, water. Keep it near you, sip it regularly, and you'll find that cravings soften and energy steadies. Let's talk dinner, the meal where salt loves to sneak in. If a jarred sauce is your weeknight savior, choose one with lower sodium and stretch it with no-salt tomato puree, garlic, and herbs. If rotisserie chicken is on your list, choose one that isn't brined or well-seasoned, and remove the skin. Add a mountain of roasted vegetables, and you've built a plate that feeds your heart. If you like stir-fries, use low-sodium soy sauce or coconut aminos, and lean heavily on ginger, garlic, and lime for flavor. Keep a squeeze bottle of olive oil on the counter instead of the salt shaker. You'll discover how far herbs and acidity can go to make food satisfying. And if a dinner wine has become a habit, experiment with alcohol-free nights and ceremonial replacements. A stemmed glass of sparkling water with lemon, a warm herbal tea while you talk, or watch something you enjoy. A short walk after the meal, which can lower blood sugar and smooth your evening. Your heart doesn't live in your kitchen alone. It lives in your whole day. So I'd be missing something important if I didn't mention the rhythm that makes every food choice easier. Movement and sleep. A 10 to 20 minute walk after meals helps your body handle carbs gracefully, lowers post-meal blood sugar, and signals your blood vessels to open up. That simple habit amplifies the benefits of every swap we've talked about. Sleep is the other pillar. When you're short on sleep, your body craves quick energy, often salty, starchy, or sweet, and your blood pressure tends to rise. Protect your bedtime with dim lights, a consistent routine, and a quiet wind down. The fewer nights alcohol steals your deep sleep, the easier all of this becomes. I also want to honor the emotional side of changing how we eat. Food is memory, comfort, culture, and celebration. We don't need to erase that. We need to update the parts that don't serve our hearts anymore. If Sunday breakfast with bacon is a ritual you love, keep the ritual and change the ratio. Bacon as a small flavor accent, once in a while, not the main event most weekends. If a favorite bakery item brings you joy, enjoy it with breakfast or lunch, where protein and fiber are on the plate to buffer the sugar, not alone at 4 p.m., when it will punch your bloodstream and leave you hungry again in an hour. If family recipes run salty, teach them a new trick: more herbs, more lemon, more garlic, a little less salt, and watch your blood pressure thank you. You're not losing your traditions. You're giving them a longer future. Because you deserve specifics you can act on today, here's a calm, doable challenge for the next 2 weeks. Choose 2 of the 5 culprits that feel most common in your life and put them on gentle probation. If processed meats show up 3 days a week, cut that to 1 and fill the gap with roasted chicken, tuna, eggs, or beans. If sweetened yogurts and bars are your daily snack, trade them for plain yogurt with fruit 3 days a week and nuts and fruit 2 days. If white bread and crackers are your default, swap them for a true whole grain loaf and keep crunchy vegetables on hand. If salty soups and dressings are on repeat, buy 1 low-sodium version this week and make 1 simple vinaigrette at home. If nightly drinks are your way to unwind, pick 3 alcohol-free nights and pair them with a new unwinding ritual: a short walk, a warm shower, a phone call with someone you enjoy. At the end of 2 weeks, take your blood pressure at home at the same time of day. You usually measure and write the numbers down. Notice your sleep. Notice your rings on your fingers in the morning. Notice your ankles at night. Your heart speaks through these small signals. It's also worth saying, you don't have to do this alone. If you buy groceries with a spouse or a friend, make a small pact to try 2 heart smart swaps together this month. If you have adult children who care about your health, ask them to text you their favorite low-sodium products or a simple bean salad they actually like. If you live alone, make your kitchen friendlier to one-person cooking. Pre-washed greens, a container of cherry tomatoes, a few cans of beans, a dozen eggs, frozen fish fillets that cook in minutes, a lemon, good olive oil, garlic, and a loaf of whole grain bread in the freezer. With that, you can build heart-strong meals in less time than it takes to find your car keys. As we close, I want you to imagine a month from now. You walk into your kitchen, and it feels easier to make a good choice than a complicated one. Your blood pressure numbers look a little kinder. Your rings slide on more easily in the morning. You climb the stairs with less effort. Your sleep is less interrupted because late salt and late drinks aren't tugging at your blood vessels all night. Your next checkup feels less like a negotiation and more like a partnership. None of that comes from fear. It comes from seeing clearly where a few foods quietly worked against you and choosing kindly to give your heart a better environment. If this resonated with you, tell me which swap you're going to make first. Are you replacing deli meat with roast chicken this week? Trading sweetened yogurt for plain with berries? Stretching jarred sauce with no salt tomato and herbs? Picking 2 alcohol-free nights? I read as many comments as I can, and your stories guide what I teach next. Let me know where you're watching from. I love seeing this community grow across cities and countries. If this brought you value, the best way to support this work is to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next steps in this series on protecting your heart after 50. And if you're ready to keep going right now, I've made a follow-up video that shows you how to rebuild a heart-healthy pantry in 1 hour, with exact shopping ideas and simple 5-minute meals that make these changes automatic. Click on that next video. I'll meet you there. Until then, be gentle with yourself, be consistent with your swaps, and remember, your heart doesn't need perfection. It needs you on its side most days.